Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Royse City, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Royse City, Texas. On every episode, Denisha Denny will share Royse City's story through the stories of the people who call Royse City home. This is Heart of Royse City.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Heart of Royse City. I asked Ashlee Burke with the Chamber of Commerce to come on our episode because she has such a heart for this community and it shows every day on her social media post. But also, I love her story from being a stay-at-home mom to being a career mom. Here's my conversation with Ashlee Burke. Hey y'all, I'm Denisha Denny, your host of Heart of Royse City, and today we're sitting in the well in downtown Royse City with our guest, Miss Ashlee Burke from the Chamber of Commerce here in Royse City. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I wouldn't have asked anyone else. You have been such a welcoming face and heart to me since we came to Royse City, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you and all the things that you do for Royse City. And I know that so many people see you that way because you are in the front and center and a wonderful face for Royse City. But we want to get to know you. Who is Ashlee? Where did you grow up, and how in the world did you get to Royse City, Texas? So start from the beginning and tell us, where did you grow up?
So for most of my years, I was actually in Rockwall, and then I moved to Garland, and that's where I graduated from. Both my parents were teachers, and they both took positions in Garland, so we went. It was easier. After that, I moved downtown Dallas and to Arizona and all the big cities that I could find. I was a big city girl. I was not a small town girl at all.
You're going to have to back me up because you just dumped a whole lot of stuff on me. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. So let's start. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 older brothers and a younger stepsister.
Okay. Okay. So when you graduated, where did you go to college then? What did you do as soon as you graduated?
So I did go to community college for a few years, and it just wasn't for me at the time. So I took a job working at a law office downtown Dallas, and that's kind of what got me down there.
What type of law?
It was multiple. It was like 50 lawyers in one building. So it was a lot of different things going on. So I was kind of the gopher, as I call myself, which was perfect for me because I got to wander around the office and I was not stuck just behind a computer. So
I can still totally see you in a law firm and you're walking around, talking to everyone, getting to know what's going on.
There were a lot of, we're busy right now, Ashlee. And I was like, okay, so, but it was great. It was so fun. And then after that, I became a nanny, and I nannied for multiple years in Frisco and kind of all over Dallas.
What took you to the different big cities that you mentioned? Like, tell us, how did you do that? That sounds exciting.
Really, when I graduated, I just knew. I mean, I loved my parents, but I knew I wanted to be on my own. So 18 came, and I was out. And then what took me to the big city was I just wanted to be there. I wanted to be in the hustle and bustle. I wanted to be close to everything. I wanted to be somewhere I could walk to different places. So that's what I did. I moved there. And then when I went to Arizona, I did one of those faux pas of following a boy. And of course that didn't work out. But while I was there, it was a great adventure. I loved it. But I just knew my heart was back home where my family is at. So I came back home. And
how long were you in Arizona?
About a year and a half.
So long enough to get to know the landscape.
Yes.
And know. Okay.
Yes. And it was gorgeous. And it was actually the first place that I experienced what shade does for, because here it's so humid that shade really doesn't work. So there I was like, oh, it's really a 20-degree difference. So, so that was kind of cool. It was very pretty. I loved the desert, which was very odd because I am a tree lover. I love trees. And so for me to really like it that much, I was kind of shocked. So
I bet. So you came back home. Did you come back to Dallas? Did you go back to downtown, or did you come home to mom and dad?
I came back home to mom and dad, and we had a little family get-together, 4th of July, and my brother and his family and his best friend, Shane Burke, came to this party, and he said he came because he found out I was back in town and I was single, and we just hit it off from that moment. We'd known each other for years.
I was going to say, did he grow up with your brother? Like, was he always around the house?
Older. So after my brother got out of the military, he went and moved in with his wife now, and had some babies, and that's how. Butchie was actually So Shane's nickname is Butchie. So Butchie was actually next door neighbors with them, and they just hit it off, and they were best friends, and they have been best friends since, 20-something years or longer. And we've always kind of done one of these. Kind of thing. So it was kind of fun whenever I was single and he was single, and it clicked.
The perfect timing.
It was.
So how old were you guys when y'all finally connected and those flames started burning stronger?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, I have to think about how old I am now. So that was back in 2005 when we met back up. So whatever my age was then, 20-something.
How fun. So what were you doing then? What was your job at that point when you met him?
Which really funny. So I did come back to Dallas, and then I moved in with my dad, who had lived in Henderson, Texas. And while I was there, just trying to get back on my feet and do that whole thing, I started working at ABC Auto Parts, and I delivered auto parts, which was hysterical because it was that whole thing where the guys that were working at the counter were like, "Oh, hey, that truck's out of blinker fluid," and I was like, "I don't know where that is," So it was one of those kind of things I learned very quickly that I should probably.
How long did you last in that, Ashlee?
Actually, I was there for a year.
Were you? They probably had so much fun.
They did. They had a lot of fun, and I did too. So, but being the delivery driver, I got to get out again. Obviously, you see the pattern of getting out of the office and
talking to people.
So, and during this time, Butchie and I were talking and just getting to know each other, and I finally decided it's time to come home, which was back to Garland in Dallas area. Did that. We continued to date, and he talked about the little town that he lived in, which was Royse City. And I was like, I'm not a small town girl, but he's a hunter, and he likes a small town, and so here I am.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot.
So did y'all move back here then? Or did y'all meet in Garland? What did you do? Did he
moved
talked
in.
you into coming and living in Royse City?
He lived here, and he would pretty much stay at my apartment most nights. Sorry. Yes, we weren't married. But, and then he was he wanted to come here. He was tired of Garland, and so I came kind of kicking and screaming. I was like, I don't know if I want to be in a small town. And this was before there was a Walmart here. Okay. And so it was very small town.
Small town.
And I just was very unsure. But the first week that I was here, I just knew. I knew it was the place to be, and I loved every minute of being here. So.
And what were you doing then? When you moved here? Where were you working?
So I was not working at that point.
Okay.
Well, I was working at a golf course, but I worked there for about 1.5 years, 2 years, in Rockwall. I stopped working. My mother got cancer, and I was, I guess I should say, blessed enough that I was able to stay with her and help out. And even though we were living here, I was able to go stay there and just kind of really help take care of her, which was really nice. And
what kind of cancer did she have?
It was breast cancer. And towards the end, it metastasized everywhere and ended up in her brain. And, it was, she was my best friend. Like, we just, so it was definitely, I'm thankful for those moments.
Absolutely. Well, I am so sorry for your loss. I know that is so hard to go through that. But it was, what a blessing that you could be there with her.
Yes.
And walk that whole journey with her and cherish those moments. And it's those moments that make us realize how precious life is, even how short life is.
Exactly.
And how we should live life on purpose.
Yes.
And make the important things important.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you did.
I did. And she was one of those people that, like I said, she was a teacher. So, even up to the very end, she was teaching, life lessons and just,
Do you have some lessons from her?
Oh, gosh.
Are there things that ring in your mind sometimes, things that she said?
Give it your all. Just she was also, obviously, with being a teacher, she gave her heart to everything. She really just gave everything she had to her students, and we just, so it's that. So I think that's kind of how I got involved in volunteering and that sort of thing. It was, that was kind of the big thing, was you give back if you can. So.
Right. So what did you do after she passed away? What did you do after that?
Well, during that time that she was fairly sick, I had a few miscarriages.
I'm so sorry.
It's a lot. But I got pregnant. I had a miscarriage, long story short. It was really bad. I almost died from it. And a year later, I had gotten pregnant. Well, this was towards the end of my mom, really kind of in her final stages. But she was still strong enough to be able to go to the appointments with me, and she was with me when I found out I was having a boy and all that good stuff. So that was nice. But she did end up passing away the month before he was born, Braden, my son. And so then I just kind of took it, and I just stayed home with him. And I was just, I hate when people say that, but I was a stay-at-home mom and volunteered for everything that I could. And so.
It is not just. And stay-at-home moms do that all the time. They're like, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, no.
Exactly.
That is a full-time, 24/7. There are no breaks. You don't get time off. There is no vacation time. And it's so important. And those are the formative years. They're so important that you get to be there.
Yes.
So I'm glad you recognized that you were more than just a stay-at-home mom. But what a blessing that your mom got to know that you were having a boy, and she got to be a part of that. So you get to carry that light forward. So how long did you stay home with your son?
So about 2 years, and then I finally needed to get out because you know me, I talk to everybody.
You have to have people, yes.
And I could only talk to a baby so long. So I actually found out that they had Mother's Day out at the fellowship, which is the Baptist church over on the other side of Royse City. Sorry, we're in the well, so I'm pointing that way. And I started working there, and I worked there. I subbed for a little while. I put Braden into daycare, or into Mother's Day out, and I subbed while I was there, and I loved it. And then they had a position come up that next year, so I worked there for 2 years, and just really got to know other parents, obviously, other moms. I loved doting on those children, and it was just fun. And so when my son started school, I kind of wanted to fill up some more time when he went to actual school. And so I started working at Lindy's Boutique here on Main Street, just part-time, filling in stuff. And as I was working there, I got a phone call from a really good friend of mine, and she said, Rust Haven Funeral Home is hiring, or is looking for somebody to run their Royse City office. Would you be interested? And I said, oh, a funeral home? I don't know. And she goes, just call them. And so I said, okay. So I called. And it was the funniest interview when I had called. Leslie, she was like, how did you find out? And it was just through word of mouth, which ended up being a God thing. They said, okay, come on in. I mean, they hadn't even really put it out into the world. This was just one conversation from one person to another. So she had me come in, and she even said, this is going to be the strangest interview I've ever given. And I was like, I'm good with that. And we clicked. And when I met everybody there, and Dwayne Kane, who is the owner, it was just, I knew it was the right place. And
what was the job? What was the role?
So I ran the Royse City office and I did administrative work there, and I also helped with the funerals and just kind of organized that. Was
that hard after recently losing your mom?
It was. Well, I mean, yes and no. It was one of the best jobs I've ever had. It was fulfilling. It was something that, all these things that I didn't expect. I expected I was going to be crying every day, and you really aren't, because sometimes when family come in, they're still maybe in a little bit of a state of shock, kind of some. So they really want to tell you all the good stories about their loved one and the funny stuff. And we spent more time laughing and giggling and that sort of thing about the loved ones, just all those memories. And so it was kind of nice, even though I didn't know these people personally through their families. It was a great way to honor them. So
I can see you doing that, though. I mean, you're a nice, warm, welcome face, and they're going through such a hard time. So I can see you being great at that. But that's good to know. So it didn't bring you down.
I did not.
Daily.
Now there were their moments that I did. I cried with them, you know, definitely. So, or I would stand in the back of the room and wipe a tear here or there, you know. So there were definitely moments, but it was just, I was thankful that God put me there to help, and, you know, especially in somebody in their time of need.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So how long were you there?
So a little over 2 years. And then that's when I got the phone call that the Royse City Chamber was hiring. The president of the chamber, Julia, she's so sweet. She decided it was time for her to retire. And she ran the chamber for, gosh, I can't even tell you how many years, umpteen years. And she did a fantastic job. But she decided that she wanted to spend more time with her husband and travel. And so when they came and they kind of presented it, and I was like, I'm interested. Okay. So if I can back up just a little bit,
Sure.
Even when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was always advocating for the businesses that came into Royse City, just because I want this town to be the best it can be for my child and for our family. And so when they would come, I would, you know, do Facebook shout outs for them, and I didn't even know the owners, and just, hey, there's new business in town. And so for years I was already doing stuff that the chamber does without even really knowing that that's what I was doing. I just, you know, want the best. So I put my application in and went on a couple of interviews, and luckily they picked me. So
That's awesome. How long have you been there?
I have been at the chamber a little bit over a year and a half now. So yeah,
I would not have thought that. You're so plugged in and connected.
It's one of those things that when I was with Rest Haven, they had asked if I would, you know, go attend chamber functions. And so I was already plugged in, and I was already involved for a couple years while I was at Rest Haven. I was sat on the board for the chamber for a while and just really got to know everybody. And that's how I knew when it was time. I was like, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. So, and I have not regretted it since.
You bring such a higher level of energy
Oh.
to a Chamber of Commerce. I will have to say it's one of the most active, involved chambers I've ever been a part of or even heard of. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Your social media post, like every time I open up my Facebook, like I am guaranteed I am going to see something that was posted by the Royse City Chamber of Commerce. Is that you behind the scenes? Who's behind the scenes? Is it all of you? How does that work?
So I do most of the social media. Vanessa, who is my co-partner in crime at the chamber, who is amazing, she also helps. But yes, most of that's me. So it's fun. And then, you know, there's some things that I ask that are, or look at that are a little questionable, like, oh, do you think this is a little too much for the chamber? And she's like, nope, let's just do it. And we just try to have the most fun that we can have. We just want to be laid back but energetic, and just the two of us together are just goofy as, you know, as
Y'all
anything,
just
so.
do life to the fullest.
Yes.
I do read your posts because I never know what it's going to say or what it's going to ask. I've
Yes.
seen you walk the line.
Yes.
And it's funny whenever I see you walk the line, I'm like, ooh, they're walking the line on that. But I love it. It's fun. It's
Yes.
not boring.
Yes.
It does make you want to read it. It makes you want to be a part
Good.
of it.
That's the point.
It's
so.
just, and I will tell you, other areas are envious of that.
Oh, that's great.
Because
Well,
it's so great that you do that, and that's where most people get their information.
Yes.
So I love your creativity.
Thank you.
With that too.
Thank you. You know, and I mean, obviously with social media, everybody knows it's crazy with the algorithm. So anytime you can catch someone's attention with a question or a silly quote or something that gets them to interact, it's just that much better. So yeah.
That's fun. What is your favorite activity or favorite thing that you do at the chamber?
Oh gosh, all of it. Meeting the new businesses, especially when the new businesses come to town, that's always great. Advocating for them, really just letting them know that we are in their corner. So if there's anything that they need, or if they're hiring, or anything that we can do, All of our functions are great. I really just enjoy seeing everybody's faces. We really decided that we were going to come back and start doing lunches in person again pretty early on. I mean, as soon as we got the okay, obviously not before it was okay. And, you know, the feedback that we got, everybody was so excited, and we were excited. And it was just, you know, after being cooped up in the house for so long, it was just great. And so seeing everybody come to those and the networking breakfast and all of that, it's fun. It's nice. So
I can see you just light up when you talk about it. So do you have a favorite community event? Maybe it's not put on by the chamber, but there's a favorite community event of all the things that go on here in Royse City.
So I have to say, it is not a chamber event, but our main street is Paula Morris runs the main street, and she does a tree lighting. And normally it has been at City Hall. This past year she did it in Cookston Court. And we went, and I'm going to tell you, it was the most Hallmark moment ever. Me with my boys and all the other families standing around. So that, especially last year, has become my favorite thing that the town does. So, I mean, obviously I'm partial to Fun Fest, even though we didn't get to do that this year, which is the huge festival where 8,000 and more people come in town. Wow. But just having those Hallmark moments here is obviously, I mean, as a mom, it pulls on my heartstrings, and I'm just like, this is where we're supposed to be.
You need to go register that with Hallmark.
Yes.
Did you know you can Google Hallmark cities?
Yeah,
And so there's a whole list that are like Hallmark towns. So you need to get Royse City added to that list for the tree lighting.
That's what I will work on tomorrow.
Well, let's talk. We're talking about Royse City, and I know with you being a part of the chamber, we've talked a lot about it. But let's talk about specifically, what does Ashlee love about Royse City?
So my favorite thing about this town, and it was really something that happened very quickly after I moved here. Somebody was in need, and I had put it out on Facebook. I'd met some people and added them to my Facebook, but I had put it out on Facebook, and so they saw, and then I decided to go ahead and put that into some of the Royse City groups. So, and at that time there weren't many. It was like the garage sale group and stuff like that. And all they said was, this family has a need. These are the needs, and within, I mean, I would not be exaggerating, within 2 hours, I had all their needs covered. Not I, personally, I take that back. The town.
The town.
And so just going off of that, anytime there's ever been anything, this town rallies. Everybody here in Royse City rallies for one another, and from the stay-at-home moms to the businesses to the churches, the mayor, everybody rallies. And the police department, the fire department, if there is a need, we come together and we make sure that it is, you know, fulfilled. So that in itself is my favorite thing about Royse City.
That's wonderful. And you get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And really, you're kind of the center of that a lot of the times. So what an impact that you're getting to make with people every single day. I kind of, you know what I think? I think that you're bringing the city to this small town. Aww. You're bringing that city spirit. You're like,
don't
I want to be in a
people,
big city.
they might not want that.
No, but you are the chamber, and you personally, you're rising the level of professionalism into the community, and that says a lot about what you're doing and how you're giving back and how you just keep making a difference every day.
Thank you.
Well, I have one final question.
Okay.
What is the best piece of advice you have ever been given, and how have you applied it?
Okay, so there's two. Okay. The first one was always from my mom, because I was a girl and a little emotional, so she was always, this too shall pass. And that was something that I held on to. And so when those small little nuggets come out, and, you know, and they just really get at you, whatever, any kind of negativity, I just, you know what, this too shall pass. So that has always been a good one. The other one was from my dad, and his thing was measure twice and cut once. So obviously he's a woodworker, but I have been able to use that in my life and really just make sure everything I do, I try to do exactly the way it should be done. So it doesn't always work out that way, but that is really the thing that I fall back on the most. So
That's wonderful. I love that.
silly.
I love that. And it's great that both of your parents have an influence on,
Yes.
on what some of your life takeaways are
Yes.
that you live every day.
Yeah.
Well, Ashlee, thank you so much for coming on the Heart of Royse City.
Thanks for
And
having me.
Thank you for all that you do, and and thank you for welcoming me. I just want to
Yes.
personally say thank you so much for welcoming.
You have been amazing.
us.
So
Well, I'm looking forward to many more years of us
Yes.
building and being a part of this amazing community.
yes.
So
yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Heart of Royse City. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Royse City, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.